So volume is more difficult than BPM because, for instance, if I go into a shopping street, a big shopping street, your Amsterdam Kalverstraat or Nijmegen, you have the Burgstraat, I believe. Right. Every city has a big shopping street. Often you have this hip, young shops where sometimes even a DJ is playing with very loud music.
That's exactly what he said.
I think I would never enter that shop. Yet it's full of people.
Yes, that's right.
So volume, in a loud bar. If I'm in a loud bar, I'll tell my friends, shall we go somewhere else? And others say, no, it's nice here. But what we can say, and there's also research in that, is that like beat per minute is very important.
Yeah, it's important.
If you play slow jazz music, people drink slower automatically because you have a glass of whiskey. You order a type of drink in a jazz bar. They have Chesterfield chairs, and you sit down, and then you listen to Miles Davis. Well, Miles Davis is not too slow, but like really slow jazz, and you're like, take a sip.
But it literally sets the tone, right?
It sets the tone, but also your heartbeat drops.
Yeah.
And drinking tempo is very related to heartbeat as well. It's the same as bartending. If you free pour, you count your heartbeat.
Really?
Yeah, free pouring is not using a jigger, but just using the bottle.
Yeah.
And counting, often you use your heartbeat as a reference. So if it's very quiet and you're relaxed, you go like 1, 2, 3, 4. But if it's busy and or you're stressed in a competition, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you want to have a good measure of whiskey, always ask, are you a relaxed bartender? No. Okay, and then go to the next bartender and order with them if they're free. But there is sort of a sweet spot of beats per minute. I don't know the exact number, but because if you go to a techno party with very high BPM, boom, 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 you're not per se gonna drink faster because there is a point where you start feeling uncomfortable.
Right.
But there is a sort of a BPM ideal spot. Maybe
so it's like an inverted U shape, basically, right? It does go up, but as soon as you go over it, it goes back down.
Yeah, and then you can look into it, but that sweet spot is where you wanna be with your music, and then volume is very much. Well, I like lower volume, and I think you should. I think this is very much related to target group.
Right.
I think if you have an older target group, us or even older, because a lot of bar owners or restaurant owners forget the sort of 55, 65 plus group, which is actually the most interesting group.
And I mean, if you think about it, economic wise, they have the most to spend.
They're willing to spend,
and they're willing to spend.
Kids are out of house.
Yeah.
University college has been paid for.
Yeah.
That's all taken care of. They got their pension. They're not worried about it anymore. Actually, they think, let's spend it because,
it's time to enjoy.
It's time to enjoy. It's a very, very interesting group. But they don't want loud volume. But if you start going for a younger target group, which probably the clothing shop that we mentioned goes for.
Yes, for sure.
It's not me that they are aiming for. But if you go for a younger audience, then you should maybe go higher in volume. Yeah. That also goes for a bar. If you have a shot bar, loud music, high BPM.
Yeah. I mean, it's in tune. I think that's the important part that you mentioned, that it's in tune with the offering, or let's say the primary offering of that bar. If you have, let's say, techno music or something with higher BPM, and you have a shot bar, it fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Fast music, talking, quick shot, keep talking, another quick shot. Yeah. But if you have I'm exaggerating now, but let's say a 40 or 50-year-old aged whiskey, you don't want to just shut that down.
Well, maybe as a bar owner, you'd like them to shut it down, but it's not meant to be shut down at all.
It doesn't fit it doesn't fit that same experience that you would normally attribute to it. And
the bar owner will adjust price point to drinking tempo, because it's like you don't sell a very expensive BMW cheaply because you sell a couple a year. So if you have a jazz bar, you will have a slightly average higher price point, so bigger margin. In shots bars, often they have a slightly less margin because they are going for the volume.
Yeah. It's like mass market versus premium type.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that goes for a bar as well.
That goes for bars as well.
Yeah, in general. But in an average bar, if they might also choose to make the very expensive products slightly cheaper to get more volume in there. But then the goal is volume.
Yeah.
And if you want people to really enjoy with good food in a Michelin star restaurant, that's why they're so expensive.
That's why it's so expensive.
It takes longer, so you are a bit more expensive. Yeah. And if you want them to have dinner a little bit longer and really enjoy and get that extra cognac, then you put lower music. Probably the restaurant where you think that the music is too loud, they want to have 3 or 4 coverings off their seats, so they push you.
I guess I guess so. But I've been wondering about this because when I was at restaurants, and so I mentioned this in my conversation with Aaron as well, when I was at restaurants that actually had excellent music choice and volume, I like to compliment them on this. And then they are very surprised because they think you would normally compliment them on the food. So I just, yes, of course, the food was great. But what really stood out was your music choice. So they don't expect that. And then they normally just look at me like a weirdo, like what's this weirdo talking about music? And then they reply simply by saying, oh, this is just some Spotify playlist. And that makes me wonder, is that if where it is good, it's just good by accident, it makes me wonder if a lot of other places where it's bad, maybe it's just bad by accident. No, so this is just really don't care.
I think there's not a lot of bar or restaurant owners that look into music.
Yeah.
They have a playlist, a Spotify playlist. And it could be that in that restaurant that the person you asked just put on a Spotify playlist that had been made with a thought behind it.
I hope
but
so.
I'm quite sure that it's hardly ever that idea. And if I look at I had my playlist.
The playlist was great, by the way.
I tried to adjust. I tried to adjust and play with that, and also with volume. But I'm pretty sure that my staff would have just told you it's just a playlist.
Right. I happened to ask the owner, so he also said it was just a playlist.
Okay. Then that case, no, they don't look in that. Maybe it's his personal flavor, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think you can make money if you design a playlist scientifically sort of structured.
Yeah.
And then because it's also time of the night in a bar, you want to start a bit. You never want to start too slow.
Yeah.
Because even if you open at 8, even at 8, you want people to. But if you have some open seats, right, you can go a bit slower.
Yeah.
But the moment you see that people go away because there's no free space, whoop, put those beats per minute up, and there you go.
Yeah. No. So I mean, whenever I was throwing a party, for me, the most important thing was the music, because I knew this was going to drive everything else. It's going to drive the conversation. It's going to drive the movement, and it's going to drive the consumption.
Yeah.
Not that I was so happy about the consumption because I was paying for it, but I wanted my guests to always have a good time.
Yeah.
So then maybe I went a bit overboard with overanalyzing this, but then I thought, okay, people come at 8, nobody will start dancing at 8. I would be the only one. So we start slower, and over time, the BPMs move up, move up, until roughly 9, 9:15, because at that point, people would have had 2 beers, 3 beers for sure, maybe a higher spirit type of drink, which they drank slowly. But at that time, thresholds would have been reduced. What does alcohol do? You start to drink a little bit, starts to elevate your heart rate, and then you can start to drop faster BPM, and then you get into the party type of dance scenario, which of course doesn't make sense for a cocktail bar, but that's how I was.
Well, it depends on, there's cocktail bars where you want people to dance, but there's definitely cocktail bars where you want people to drink fast.
Exactly.